A typical Pennine-style dry stone wall consists of a double skin of level, coursed construction, starting with good solid foundation stones. The first lift of building stones is built on top of these, and the wall is tied together at knee height using large, full-width through stones at approximately 1 metre intervals. The second lift of building stone sits above these, with a final course of cover bands tying the top of the wall together. Shaped copestones or toppings sit on these to finish off the wall. The stones should be laid tightly together with their length running into the wall, with smaller stones or pins being used to level and secure them. All internal gaps are tightly filled with packing or hearting. Stones should be laid with a good face to the outside, ideally following the line of the batter. It is important for the strength of the wall that all joints are covered with each successive course. Remember 1 stone on 2 and 2 stones on 1. A general rule of thumb gives the base width of the wall as twice the width measured immediately below the copestones. If these two widths are added together, they give the approximate height of the wall before the cope is put on. This 3:1 ratio gives a batter, or angle of construction, of 1 in 8. This DVD concentrates on repairing a gap in an existing coursed wall. If you're just starting dry stone walling, this is the best way to learn about construction. You should carefully examine how the old wall was put together and make sure you avoid the faults which have made it collapse, such as straight or running joints, inadequate batter, poor tying in of stones, or lack of through stones, to name but a few. The old wall should be stepped back to solid construction as the gap is stripped down to foundation level. The stone should be laid out in an organised manner, separating the types and sizes of stone into different piles. Building stone should be placed on edge, with the best face upwards. A clear working space should always be left along both sides of the wall. The foundation trench should be made slightly wider than the wall, with the subsoil stamped down to give a good, firm base.
Right guys, the exercise today is to actually rebuild this gap. What we're going to do is we're going to take the stone down in a particular manner and we're going to lay it out so that it's going to be easy to rebuild when we've got the foundations dug out and the wall is clear. These old walls have often got sharp objects inside them, so it will be wise to wear gloves in doing this. The first thing we need to do is to look for stones that will actually make the top of the wall. That's a stone like this. About that sort of height, that sort of size, and we'll lay them out in a line about this distance, maybe a little further away from the wall, and try and build up a line of toppings along the wall. We're then going to take the rest of the stone down and lay it inside this, but we're going to make sure on both sides of the wall we've got about 2/3 of a metre gap as a walking area where we can safely walk up and down the section of wall and minimise accidents. Now then, it's 2 people on one side of the wall, 2 people on the other, and we will only lay the toppings out on one side, and we're also looking for long stones that will go right the way through the wall. If we find those, we need to put them aside.
Inexperienced wallers will find it easier if they can see the shape, size and faces of the stones to choose from, which is why it's good practice to lay them out in an organised manner. As you progress, you'll be able to pick stones from a pile, without the need to lay them out first.
Right guys, if we can just stop a minute and have a look at this. This long stone is what we would possibly use as a through stone, and if you find anything like this, then make sure that you keep it aside. Whatever you do, don't throw it down on the ground because these things break. Once they're broken, you can't put them back together again.
The building stones are placed on their edge to show thickness and size. The initial time and effort taken to lay the stones out properly will result in a much quicker walling time.
Now we've taken a lot of the building stone out of this wall, we can see we've got a lot of very small stuff. Very small stone, which was the packing between the two skins of the wall. Now we need to save as much of this as we can, but we don't want it to be on the ground under our feet. Okay, so all of this small stuff here can go into buckets and be placed somewhere here where I am at the end of this gap that we're doing, and at the other end there, Tim, up where you are, okay? Here. Right, Tim, what we're going to try and do here is to get this end of the wall here just step down in a series of neat steps down until we get down to the foundation. Same applies your side, Joan.
Sometimes you may need to strip the old wall a fair amount before reaching solid stone you can build to. This stepping back results in a much stronger repair, as no vertical joints are created where the new section meets the old wall.
Right, that's another through there, Roger. Do you want to put that over with the, or somebody put that over with the throughs? You never know, if we find 2 or 3 more of these, we may have enough. Can you see how it's possible to work? Here, Tim, look, if you are only, have got your stone quite close to the wall, as long as it's safe and you can see it, you don't virtually have to move your feet in placing stone. You can put it there and get straight back again, and that will speed up your rate of work and also save an awful lot of walking. That looks fairly solid, certainly usable as a foundation stone. Again, I think that doesn't want to go very far away from the wall, because that'll go in first. So that needs to go with these other big stones just here.
After all the surface stone has been removed, a solid base should be dug down to at subsoil level.
You can pull the stuff down this way and get rid of it at the same time where you can, look, you know, down through here, so that you clean this trench from the top, so you end up with a reasonable trench down through, and all the small stuff comes out at the same time if we can, using our fingers almost as a sieve.
The trench should be cleaned out, slightly wider than the width of the foundations, with the excess soil being disposed of thoughtfully, usually used to fill holes or tractor ruts.
Into it on those things, haven't you?
The trench is then completely cleared and compacted to give a good solid base for the foundations. Key points. Always wear gloves when dismantling a wall. Lay out the stone in an organised manner. Step back the existing wall to reach solid construction. Prepare a clean and firm foundation trench.